What's going on, ladies and gents? Thank you so much for joining me. My name's Dede. I'm a tit smacker, usually a todge in a truck, but today I'm in my flat again. I want to go through these new HGV tests, the rules, and the car towing a trailer rule and all that stuff. Want a bit of clarification, want a bit of your input, see what you actually think. I've been trying to unravel it a little bit to see what's actually really going on. Don't really need to, but I want to talk to you guys about it, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off with car drivers now not needing to take a test to tow a caravan. So anyone who passes the test can now tow a caravan. Crazy. That doesn't make sense to me at all, but there you go. I find it absolutely ironic that they've just put a law in place, literally just put a law in place as they reverse the need to do a test for towing a trailer. They've just put a law in place that if your caravan or trailer is over 3.5 tonne, you get a fine. I find that amazing, where, quite frankly, if you Google search, do I need to do a test to tow a caravan, they're going to say, no, as new legislation states, you don't. That's it. So you go and pick up a dual axle caravan that weighs an absolute God knows what, and then you get charged for it, and you're like, well, I didn't know. So that's crazy. Something to look out for. I mean, how many caravan drivers have passed a test to tow a caravan and they're still absolutely dog iron at towing a caravan? Absolute craziness. Your input, please. What do you think? Have you always wanted to tow a caravan and you're like, haha, up yours, I am now towing a caravan? Could you imagine someone that's failed the test like 12 times to tow a caravan and now they're like, watch this. And first thing they do is take a bend and smash the caravan on a hump or on a high curb or on a bollard. Bit daft really, innit? In my personal opinion. Don't know if I'm just being cynical, but I think it's a bit mental. Second of all, the class 2 and I'm going to call it class 2 and class 1. Yes, it's class C and class C plus E, but I'm going to call it 2 and 1 the old fashioned way. Class 1 being an Arctic or a wagon and drag, because they're both the same test. And class 2 being a rigid, like a little tipper truck or an 18 tonne DAF with a tail lift, whatever. Do I think it's right? Yes and no. Kind of, let me elaborate. I think going from a car, like imagine 20-year-old Steve going from a Citroen Saxo 1.1 with a big exhaust on it, and then doing a test to drive a 44 tonne Arctic. Just like that. If you put it into that context, it sounds a bit like a recipe for disaster. If it's a lad that's been brought up with trucks, it's been out with the dad a few times, knows the game a little bit, fair enough, I can understand-ish. But for 20-year-old Steve and his Saxo with $2,000 in the bank, I want to be a truck driver. I think that's a little bit gnarly, to be fair. I mean, how many accidents do you see in class 2s? You know, dings. I don't mean big accidents, I mean dings. People hitting stuff, reversing into stuff, clipping weigh bridges. We're going to scrap all that and just chuck them out in an Arctic. I think that's a little bit daft. But I do agree with, well, what I think personally is, if you're only going to drive class 1s, then fair enough. But I don't think you should be able to do the class, just the one test for the class 1 and then be able to drive class 2s. I don't think that should be a thing. And if you've not got a license, you might be thinking, well, that's a bit stupid because class 1s are bigger. Yeah, they are, agreed. But they're two completely different driving styles. It's like going from a rowing boat to HMS Queen Elizabeth kind of thing. You drive them completely different. Alright, it's like going from a dinghy, a powerboat, to Queen Elizabeth. They're massive. Big difference. You've got to take different lines at roundabouts. You know, the braking distances are completely different. The power's completely different. A lot of class 2s are manual, that I've noticed. Again, I don't really think they've thought this through, quite honestly. Now, the big one, the big thing that's happening, which again, I've tried to unravel. I've read a lot of posts. I've read a lot of newspaper reports. I've read the actual DVLA post on it. And I can't really kind of understand it myself personally. So what they're saying now is you only have to do the one test, which is the Class 1 test. That's all you have to do. But they're going to take the reversing manoeuvre and the coupling and uncoupling procedure out of the one test. Now, this is going to be tested by a third party. It's going to be tested, the key word being tested, by a third party. So what that means to me is you're still going to have to do 2 tests. They don't say it's going to be like observed by your tutor. So he observes you for the 4 days that you do your Class 1 training. He observes you and thinks you're competent, and yes, feel free, crack on. You're actually going to be tested on this. So we've gone from 2 tests for Class 2 to Class 1 to 1 test. So now you just do the 1 test. But then you have to book a second test with a third party company that's not the DVSA or the DVLA. You've got to book an extra test with a third party just to do your reversing manoeuvre and your coupling and uncoupling. How does that make sense? I'm confused at that. So you've still got to book 2 tests. If they're planning on chucking 50,000 new HGV drivers into the industry, then you're still going to have to pay for 2 tests. There's still going to be massive waiting times. The third-party companies that have never done it before, because I don't think there is any third-party companies that do standalone testing, they're going to have to hire staff that are competent to do this testing, surely. You must have to get a certificate for it because, let's be honest, reversing and uncoupling and coupling is the 2 most dangerous parts of being a HGV driver. I mean, there ain't no one that can drive onto a bay. Wherever you go, you've got to put it onto a bay. If you've not got a clue how to do that, then where do you start? I'm confused by it all. And I want your input. Completely bizarre. I find it crazy. And they want 50,000 new HGV drivers on the road. These younger people, they've still got to pay for the tests. It's not the wages that are the problem. It's that older drivers are retiring and younger lads can't save up to do the test. Now, there might be one of you sat there going, I've saved up and I've done my test, thank you very much. You don't know what you're on about. Yeah, but there's like millions or hundreds of thousands of other people that can't afford to do the test. This is what I've heard and read over 18 months of doing HGV videos, that it's not the wages that they're bothered about. I've had messages, even today I've had a message off a guy that's a psychologist, and he said he's sick of it. Psychologists are on damn good money. He's sick of it, he wants to go HGV driving. But it's not about the money. An ambulance driver who's just passed his Class 2, he's sick of ambulance driving, and he's a paramedic and everything, and he's going HGV driving. So that's fine for them, but the young lads that are coming up, I mean, you can't even get a job unless you're 25 because no one will insure you. So, I mean, how does all of this intertwine to change anything? At the end of the day, you're still going to have to do 2 tests. One of them with a third party, which means you're going to have to book 2 tests. And I'm guessing that you can't do the reversing and the coupling and uncoupling until you've passed your initial test. So if you book both of them at the same time and fail your first one, then you can't go and do your second one. So you're going to have to rebook, I'm guessing. Or will your tutor be the competent person that does the reversing manoeuvre and the coupling and uncoupling before you actually take your test? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. And I've tried to read these questions up and I can't find any answers. All I've seen is that they're going to get 50,000 new HGV drivers on the road, and it's going to be by doing 1 test that doesn't have the reversing manoeuvre and the coupling and uncoupling, and another test by a third party that does. So that still means to me there's going to be 2 tests. You're still going to have to book 2 tests. This stupid bug is still absolutely rife, and I know because at the moment I'm struggling to get what I need. I'm not going to delve into any more conversation, anything about that, but I'm struggling to get what I need because I can't have a face-to-face with anybody. So I don't really know how this is going to help. All it seems to me is it's a way of making extra money. That's all it seems to me, quite personally. The only people that are going to lose out from all of this are the actual training companies themselves that are now going to have to, I'm guessing they're going to have to sell the Class 2s because, well, who's going to want to drive a Class 2 when you can just jump straight into a Class 1? And what does this mean for the next day delivery drivers? The drivers that go into Class 2s and belt around all over the place and deliver to stores and stuff. What does it mean for them? Is there going to be a shortage in that? Who knows? But I don't think the problem is Brexit, and I don't think the problem is whatever. I think, well, IR35 is a big problem because I think drivers have just gone, bugger this. I'm going somewhere else where I can stay limited, which is completely understandable from a person that was limited. My pay has took a massive dive, which I know some of you are happy about, but still. I just don't think HGV driving is a career that a lot of people want to do because it's monotonous, it's boring. There's just way too much traffic on the road. The traffic is just absolutely ridiculous, and I reckon that's one of the main things that puts drivers off. I don't think it's the waiting times, I don't think it's the disrespect, I don't think it's the lack of facilities. I've been in warehouses. The facilities in warehouses that some of these people have to put up with are absolutely disgusting. Whereas you go to a Lim truck stop and you've got clean showers, clean toilets-ish. You've got a Greggs, a Costa, a WH Smith. You've got sandwiches, you've got Costa, you've got Starbucks, you've got everything you need at any truck stop at all. A Bingdon truck stop is absolutely mint. The showers are red hot, they're clean. I mean, Carnforth truck stop, Penrith truck stop, mint. I mean, I think talking about facilities, I think is just an absolute joke, to be quite honest, because you want to go and step into a warehouse and have a look at their facilities. They're absolutely they're disgusting. And most of the time, the brew machines don't even work. So these people that are going doing 12-hour shifts in warehouses stood around putting crap in boxes while you're out earning £18 an hour driving down M6 moaning about diversions or traffic. I think they're the ones that should be sulking because they've got to take their own food in. They've got to take their own brews in because they don't even know if they can get a brew. Whereas us truck drivers, we can just pull over at Sandbach, go and get a Costa. No one's going to say anything, no one's going to shout you. Can you walk off a warehouse floor and just go and get a brew? Oh, I'm just stuff it, I'm going to have in 5 minutes. How many of you stop in a services, go and get a brew and leave it on other work, and then jump back in your truck and carry on? Or how many of you just pull outside and put it on POA? Sorry mate, yeah, I'm still in, I've not picked up my trailer yet. You know, if I get an extra couple of quid out to industry. It happens, it's give and take. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I am rambling, I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent there, like I always do. But I want your input on this and I want to know what you think. I've tried getting the information. I have tried to actually see what is really going on, but all I can summarise is car drivers don't have to take a test now to tow a trailer, but they've implemented a new law that states that they're going to get fined if they go over a certain weight, which is understandable, but still, how can you not take a test for that? The Class 1 test, you're still going to need 2 tests to do it. You're still going to have to book 2 tests. One to do your normal test and another to do your reversing manoeuvre and your coupling and uncoupling. If you fail that, you're not going to get out on the road. So 2 tests, 2 lots of anxiety, 2 options to fail. I don't get that. And they reckon that it's going to put 50,000 new drivers on the road. I don't see that either. Because at the end of the day, if you look how training is situated in a training centre, you do, 4 hours in the morning, and then another driver comes in and does 4 hours in the afternoon. That's your 2 drivers. You do that for 4 days, Monday to Thursday, and then you have 2 tests in the afternoon. 1 for your first driver, 1 for your second. Where's your 3rd and 4th driver going to come in? They reckon they're going to double the amount of tests by doing it this way. So where's your 3rd and 4th driver coming? You've not been able to train them up. So how's that going to work? Do you get what I mean? If I was training at Red Rose and there was me and Dean training, I was on 4 hours in the morning, he was on 4 hours in the afternoon. They're still going to only do 2 tests in that day because 1 for the morning, 1 for the afternoon. Or is that test guy going to then shoot off to another test centre and do 2 more there? That could possibly happen. Just thought of that now. That maybe could happen. I don't know. But I want your input. Give me your input, please. Try and be nice. I'm only trying to discuss this stuff with you. But that's it from me on this one. Just wanted to clear a little things up and try and get a little bit of a friendly discussion because after being on Facebook, wow, I've just removed myself from one of the trucking groups because I swear to God, HGV drivers on Facebook are just absolutely bitter, horrible creatures. Oh, they're absolutely vile. I thought I had haters. The groups on Facebook are absolutely gopping. They are awful. I've not seen one positive comment, I don't think, on anything to do with the food shortages or anything like that. I mean, another thing that I'm adding on, going off on a bit of a tangent, Boris Johnson's just said that he's confirming, is it a £10 billion car factory or something? Car building factory in Somerset or something like that. And it's planned proposals to go ahead. Wahey! Okay, so my comment was, who's going to bring in the foundations? Who's going to bring in the concrete? Who's going to bring in the rebar? Who's going to bring in the structural steel? Who's going to bring in the cherry pickers, the forklift truck drivers, the diggers? Who's going to bring the roofing in? Who's going to bring all this stuff in? It all comes in on HGVs. Wouldn't it be better, considering people have been in lockdown for so long that they're not really that rich at the moment? Wouldn't it be better to put all these units pulling Asda trailers because the massive desperation for food? Wouldn't that really make sense? If you got like A&F haulage from Bolton pulling Tesco trailers instead of pulling next day delivery parcels. I mean, let's cut down on the Amazon Prime. Sorry, we're going to restrict it to not next day delivery, but we're going to restrict it to whatever. 2-day delivery, 3-day delivery. Cut down on the amount of people that are pulling stuff that people don't really need. I mean, I bought my missus some straw cleaners the other day off Amazon Prime. Next day delivery, £4. It come from Edinburgh. I know, because it had EDI4 on the packaging. Straw cleaners. Did I really need them? Really? And it took a HGV to bring them from there, and then it took a smaller Class 2 to bring it to a smaller depot, and then it took a van driver to deliver them. I could have just gone to Tesco's and got them, quite frankly. Do you know what I mean? I think people should cut down on the next day delivery crap and go out shopping more and free up some of the trucks that are on the next day delivery crap. And then they can start pulling Tesco, Morrison's and Asda trailers. Yeah, put me out of a job, but still, I think that's the way it should kind of be going. Do you not think? Do you not think food's more important than a packet of fucking straw cleaners? That's my personal opinion anyway. Anyway, I'm leaving it at that because I'm waffling and I'm going off on tangents all over and I'm going to get shouted at for it. But my name's Dede. I am a Class 1 driver. I've been driving Class 1s now for about 2 years. So I kind of have a little bit of an insight and I have my own opinions in my head. But that's me. If you want to add me on Facebook, feel free at Gareth Dede. If you want to add me on Instagram, at Dede2012. If you want to join the memberships, $4.99 a month, you're helping me to hopefully get this PC up and running sooner or later so I can start doing live streams. That's what I want from that, with a proper mic and a proper camera, and get people on talking. That's what I want. My name's Dede. I'm a tit smacker, Todge in a truck, faggot in a flat. I'm going. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Much love. Subscribe to my channel as well. Bye.